put these up here for you. I don't see the share screen option here.
It should be on the bottom right, present now.
Yeah, it is not showing up for some reason. Let's see. Switch to myself. Nope. On record.
It should be.
Yeah, normally it is there, and I don't see it now. Let's try. There we go. I found it.
Great.
Sorry for the delay.
No worries.
And let me know when you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So what I want to chat about is basically some building blocks that you can use. These Lightning components, these are all ones that I've either enhanced or created. They're all available for free online. I don't know how many of you have visited the unofficial sf.com website before, but they are all there. There's no coding required. They can all be configured and customized to however you want to use them. A little bit about myself. I've been in the technology field for over 40 years. I had my own IT firm for about 25 years. Grew that to about 100 employees. After I sold that company, I spent about another 10 years working in sales, which was a very interesting experience. And for the last 7 years, I have worked for a telecommunications company. We provide fiber broadband internet services and phone services in Maine in the United States. And I'm currently director of software development there. We use Salesforce throughout, and with Sales Cloud, Community Cloud, and Service Cloud. And I have some contact information here. I'll share this slide deck with everybody afterwards, so you can have links and information on how to reach out to me if you have questions or would like more information. One of the first components I actually ever wrote was a utility to document process builders. If you've ever created process builders, you probably have struggled with trying to go back and look at one afterwards and figure out what it does. You really have to kind of look at it screen by screen, hover your mouse over things, do print screens. That got a little frustrating for me, so I created a utility to print out all of the logic and the information behind a process builder. But moving on, I want to go over some of the components that you can put to use. And I'm going to start with one that's fairly easy, and it's a component that draws a line. And the reason for having a component just to draw a line is when you're working with a Lightning screen, you can put a number of different components in different places, and a line gives you the ability to just kind of separate sections of the screen. If we look at this one, those three buttons at the bottom of the screen by themselves seem kind of jumbled together, but if you put a line in there, you can kind of separate some of the sections that you have. In fact, another example here is this is a screen where I have 4 different data table components, and you can see the difference with or without the lines in there. They really can help separate the different sections and make it easier for somebody looking at that screen to differentiate between the various areas or the information that you want to draw their attention to. So just a simple component, you can put a line out there, set its margins, its width, its color, and fully configure it and use it in a flow or directly on a Lightning record page. With Lightning record pages, one of the things that's important is your screen real estate, the amount of space you have on the screen. So I created a component that allows you to display large text fields, but give the user the ability to control what they see or how much they see and when they see it. So when you're displaying a large text field, I've added a toggle button to that so you can turn those off at your choice and free up space and see other information on the screen. So you not only can toggle these on and off, you can adjust the size of them when they are displayed. And when you're using these, you can set the default as to when the screen first comes up and gets displayed to the user. Is it on by default or off by default? And then you just give the user the ability to select it as they choose. And the toggle button that I had on that component, I felt would be a good use for a component all by itself. So I created a component to put a toggle button on a record page. And there's a few different things you can do once that button's on the page. I set it up so that you can control the checkbox field by clicking on the toggle button. So in this case, I want to escalate a case. The user clicks the toggle button to do that, but it does something else interesting as well. Because it's changing the value of a field on the record, it can do things like trigger a process builder. Anytime a record changes, it can run something. So in this particular case, if somebody is clicking on the escalate button, it not only changes the value of that field, it also runs a process builder which can do something like send out a notification or create a chatter post or build a task record. Any number of things can be done with this type of button. And not only can we use it for changing values and starting processes or transactions with a process builder, you can also use it for conditional visibility. One of the powers of a Lightning record page is you can set the visibility of components to be on or off, and you can base that visibility on the value of a field in the record. And by using a toggle button to set that field, you can turn components on and off on the screen by just selecting the toggle button. In this case here, I have just the two basic components. I call one the red component and one the blue component, and they can be toggled on and off with visibility rules just by changing the value of that field in the record and then controlling that with a toggle button on the screen. And if anybody has any questions at any point in time, feel free to speak up. I'll be glad to answer them now or at the end of the presentation. And this is just showing how the visibility can be set on the screen by just linking that particular component to the value of a field when you are configuring the component. Another component I have is called Visual Pick Lists. This is one that can be used to select a pick list value, but you can do that with an image rather than just seeing the contents of a field. In this case here, I have one for a support rep to identify whether the customer is happy or angry or neutral, and they just have to click one of the faces on the screen, and it will change the value of that record once they make that selection. And this component can be configured as you see it here. It also can be configured to just show images. So I just have a larger image here, and you can bring in and use any images you want. They just get brought into Salesforce as a static resource. When you're working with flows, another component that's very helpful and useful is being able to redirect your flow when you finish and do things like refresh the screen or display a new record. Oftentimes you might have a flow that creates a new record, and then you want to take the user to that record at the end of the flow. By using this particular component, you can get the ID of that record you just created and then transfer control to that record either in a view mode or edit mode. You can set the component up to do it either way as it can be fully configured to give you that capability. Another component there, I'm not going to go through this one in much detail, but one of the challenges in the past with using a pick list on a flow was it didn't adhere to record types. With different record types, you can have different pick list values available, and this component with the dependent pick list now supports record types. So we'll only display those pick list values that are associated with that record type. This component is the data table component, is probably one of the most widely used components that people download from the unofficial sf.com site. It allows you to display almost like a list view on a flow screen, and you can do that to display information, interact with that information, and make selections. I don't know if you've in the past have used something like a dynamic record choice, but with a dynamic record choice, that used to be the only way you could select a record while you're in a flow. And the challenge with the dynamic record choice is it only allows you to display one field to make that selection. And oftentimes you may want to present more information than what's available in that one field. So I've done things in the past like create a fairly complex formula field that combines a bunch of other fields so I can display more information on the screen for the user to select from. And you can see when you're looking at one like that it's kind of hard to pick things out, whereas with the data table, you can select the columns and the fields you want to display. It lines them all up. It's very organized. And this can be set up to do either individual selections with radio buttons, or you can do multiple records with checkboxes. And then once you select those records, you can act on them. I've actually wrote a 4-part blog series on just different ideas on how you could use a data table in a flow, all different ways with examples and other things. So if you're interested in using a component of this type, I recommend going through and reading these blog posts, and you'll get hopefully some good ideas for yourself on how you might put this to use. And if there's time or interest at the end, I can show you a few more things about the data table and how it's being enhanced for the Summer 20 release when that comes out in a few weeks. The navigation button is one of my favorites. When you use a flow, normally the only buttons that are available to you are previous, next, pause, and finish. And oftentimes you want to, well, at least I want to put different things on the buttons, show something different. An example here, I want to say cancel or reset, or could be any number of things you would want to use a button for. And this allows you to basically turn off the footer that the flow normally displays and put your own buttons there instead. And this can be fairly powerful in that you can control your flow based on what somebody may have selected for a button. If I display a button on this screen here in the middle, depending on what button they select, I can go and do something completely different in my flow. So I have control over the steps that I want to take based on what buttons were pressed. Another example I want to show you here with these buttons is they can even be, you can control which ones show or don't show based on other values in the flow. This is an example where I'm updating some opportunity contact roles, and I'm giving the user 3 different choices to either save changes, cancel changes, or set a contact to active or inactive. And depending upon if a contact is active or not, I display a different set of buttons on the bottom of the screen. So it's a lot more flexible than the standard previous, next, and finish buttons that you get in a flow. The lookup component is another interesting one. This component, there's a standard lookup component that's now available. in flows, but this is one that I created that allows you to filter what you're going to look up, and not only filter what your lookups are, but have parent-child relationships on those lookups. In the past, in a flow, if you wanted to, say, select a value in a lookup field and then act upon that value, you had to create a second screen because you couldn't use the value on the first screen because it wasn't available yet to the flow. In this case, with the parent-child relationships, the components are interacted or connected to each other. And if you look at the top example on this page, it's selecting an account record. And then based on what account record was selected, the values in the contact records will only give you the choices related to that contact. So this becomes a very powerful way of doing multi-level lookups on a single screen and having them filtered by the value that was previously selected in another component. I started with a fairly simple component, one that would draw a line. And I'm going to wrap this up with another one that's basically a component that just displays a picture. And it can act like a button. You can click on the image that gets displayed and then have the flow act on that. In this case, this is an example of we use Conga Sign and Conga Composer in my org. And rather than just have a button to click next or a button to say Conga, I said, well, let's just put an image out there, make the screen a little more interesting. And not only can you put an image on the screen, you can make that image interactive. And by interactive, you can have the image changed depending upon whether the mouse is over the image or clicking on the image. So you can have basically 3 different images that can be displayed, and they're interactive based on what you're doing with the mouse. So this adds a little extra something to your user experience. It's not just clicking a button. It's something. It's a little more. It just makes the page a little more interesting for them. And not only can we use a static image like this, you can also use GIF files as well. I have an example here. When I first started converting all of my users from Classic to Lightning, and if you've ever done that, you'll find that a lot of times the users want to switch back to Classic mode. And once I started doing things in Lightning and enhancing components in Lightning, some of the older things that would run in Classic weren't valid anymore, and I didn't want my users going back and doing things in Classic that could end up causing issues in the system. So in this particular case, I had just an image that I would display if they switched to Classic and tried to do something that I didn't want them to do in Classic anymore. So here, if they click this particular button, rather than running the routine, it showing an image saying, "Not yet, can't do it. You've got to go back to Lightning. You're not going to go any further here." So just another use for an image. All of these components, I have links for them here. They're all free. They're all customizable. No programming required. And they can really add a lot of creativity to what you want to do on your Lightning record page screens and on your flow screens. And I'd be glad to go over any of these in more detail. Just a bonus tip here, using filters for visibility ties in with a lot of these components and how they interact, and it's an important concept to take advantage of and use when you're working in the new Lightning environment in Salesforce. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Well, to be honest, I did really, did use many of these components, and I didn't know that we have a component like we can redirect from flow. That's a really needed one.
Oh, that's
So
a great one.
yeah,
Especially if you're creating a new record and you want to then act upon that record.
yeah, Yeah, that's the maximum thing that you can do from the current flows, out of the box functionality, is that you can redirect the whole page flow to a static list view, but not to that new record that you created or modified. So
Yes.
that's yeah, just saving our ass over there.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can see a
That
couple of questions on a chat.
great.
So Puneet saying that great session, Eric. Thank you. How do you handle exceptions in flow?
Uh, Validation rules and exceptions in a flow really aren't that's a challenge right now in Salesforce, in that you're still going to get the standard error messages when those type of things happen. So I found that certain times that I'll actually do my own validation in a flow before it tries to, say, write a record or do an update, and then using the decision elements in the flow, then redirect to different screens or messages, and present the information to the user the way I want to present it, rather than just waiting for a system message to pop up. So you kind of have to have a little more uh, control yourself over some of those.
Yeah, right. Also, I think that accession handling the flows is a bit smarter in a way that it also sends you an email with a proper accession, that in what decision and what message are you getting on which flow. So I think that's pretty much easier. So the
Yes.
next question from Puneet is that, as a developer, what does flow bring to the table that I cannot achieve programmatically? Why would I prefer flow over the Apex or LWC?
Well, I'm actually using Apex and a Lightning Web Component to display the data table in a flow. It basically, you know, I'm doing it programmatically with Apex and the Lightning Web Component, but I've made it generic enough that I can add all the configuration and not have to rewrite the base component, the base code every time I want to use it. I'm the type of person that um, if I'm trying to find a solution, something I want to do, I don't just want to solve it once for that single use case. I would much rather take the little extra time and effort to not only create a solution that'll take care of my own use case, but something that I can make generic and reusable, so that if I come across something similar in the future, I have the building blocks I need to do it much quicker, much easier. But also at the same time, I've built something that other people can use as well to solve not just the type of problem or issue I had, but many other things as well. So I try, and with most everything I do is make them generic, make them configurable. Uh, my data table component is built around the base data table component, and I've set it up so you can take advantage of just about every feature that's in there. And I've added additional things as well, like I can display a time field, which isn't part of the base data table component. I can uh, look up fields rather than displaying the ID, which is what the normal data table component will do. If you're trying to do a lookup field, I go out, find what the name field is for that particular object. I bring that back in, and I present the name in the data table with an actual link. It's a hyperlink to the actual record that it's looking up. So there's a lot of capability built into this component that I've done programmatically that can be just configured when you just assign attributes when you use it in your flow.
Yeah, and also, in my opinion, so this question is going to be a very traditional developers question, because Flow is for exactly for everyone. It's not just admins, for even developers as well. Because Flow, I
Oh,
think, is,
absolutely.
yeah. So, and I think that flows are much more easier for all of us, because you don't have to take care of your test classes and Apex classes and all these,
Yep.
coverage and everything. You just need to, this is a drag and drop editor. You can simply select and what company that you need. If you need a loop or everything, you just simply drag and drop in that. And the beauty of the flow is that you can also use Lightning Web components, as Eric showed, that you can use any of the component on a flow. So I think that's here flow is winning against the Apex and LWC, but also there are most of the cases where you will need to use the Apex or LWC instead of flow. So it's up to you to decide which one you want to use.
And you could use a good combination as well. I have,
Right.
I don't know, can you see this? Can you see the flow I have on the screen?
Now we can see Q&A screen.
Okay, let me reshare my screen. I just want to show you something. There we go.
Yes, we can see it now.
This is a flow I wrote that well, now it's gone away, but it uses some Apex and it uses some of the flow capabilities, and it uses my data table component to basically give you a better list view of process builders or flows. And I've updated the data table component not just to support standard Salesforce objects, but also Apex defined objects. So I have a component that goes out and gets information from 3 different Salesforce objects. There's a flow definition view, there's a flow variable view, and one other one. I pull those all together in a single Apex defined object and to display that object in my data table. So if I want to look at, say, flows, and I want to see both active and inactive ones, and let's say I want to highlight the rows with the green image here, I will go and have it go out. It's going to run some SQL queries in the Apex, bring in all this data, put it into a single object that I defined, and then display it in the data table component in the flow. Now, if you were doing this all with Apex and a Lightning Web Component, it would take a while to build this and put it all together, but I've been able to configure this fairly simply and easily. And now in my data table, I'm displaying all my active and inactive flows, and I can do all of the data table things like, I can change column widths, I can sort, I've added filtering on here as well. So if I just want to set my filter on this column and look at just active flows, this is a feature that's not in the standard data table, but it's one that I've added in. I can set that filter and look at just active flows. I can set and clear filters independently on all the different columns. But one of the reasons I used the data table here is I wanted to have the ability to go in and select inactive flows as a batch and then send them out and be deleted. I don't know if you've ever tried to delete inactive process builders or delete inactive flows. It's a very manual process, and it takes a lot of time because you have to do them one at a time using the standard Salesforce interface. Whereas with this component, I just select them as a batch. Are you sure you want to delete these 3? I click yes. It creates the right type of XML files, sends them off to Salesforce. They get deleted, and you move on. So by having a component that's generic like this, you can come up with some very interesting things that you may want to do with it. So that's just one example using the data table and a flow.
That's beautiful. Trust me, I've been a lot of pain on manually doing all these activities, but that's beauty. So that I hope that Puneet has answered your questions.
I see a question on lookup fields.
Right.
There's the lookup field that I have out there ended up a subset of that ended up being put in place as a official Salesforce lookup component for flows, which I do not think that one supports lookup filters. The one I have, you can define your filter whatever you want, and it will respect whatever filters you put in place when you configure the component. And you can do that with a based on the value of a field, or you could also even put in a where clause to filter the lookups of the records that are going to be made available to the flow. So it is more powerful than just a standard lookup.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you, Eric. Very impressive. The last demo that you gave with the flow and process builder list view, that's very impressive there. How did you delete the records? Do you delete the flows? Is it some kind of metadata API or some other API used to delete them?
Yes, I used two existing Apex classes that were out there. One is the metadata service, and the other one is called ZipX. So once I had the list of the flows, I created the destructive changes XML file and the package XML file, then zipped them into a zip file. This is being done within Apex, and then using the metadata service actually deployed that zip file. So when you deploy a destructive changes zip file, it just takes that list of components and deletes them. And that's all done directly through Apex.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I'd like to try this in my own org.
I'm going to be, the source code for this is available. I'm still finishing up a few things. I'll be publishing a blog post sometime in the next few weeks and I'll put it on unofficialsf.com describing that particular flow. And I'll have a package there that'll have all of the classes, the flows, everything you need to run that, and that'll be available.
Okay, thank you very much.
So hopefully, I went fairly quickly through some of those components, but my goal is that one or two or more of them might just sparked a little interest in each of you to say, hey, I can do something new or something different in one of the orgs that I'm working on and want to go and use a component like that. So I'd love to hear back from any of you if you put any of these to work and how it works out for you.
Absolutely. By the way, I do have one question.
Yes.
So yeah, as you're here, so I want to know. Actually, many of us would know that what's your journey for an MVP, and how we also can achieve this MVP great score.
I think I think it just has to do with reaching out and being involved and trying to help others in the Salesforce community. This has been, as I mentioned earlier, I don't like to solve a problem just for myself. I want to create something that not only takes care of my needs, but something that other people can use as well. And I think the ability and the willingness to provide tools for other people to use. I'm very active in a lot of the Trailblazer communities. I learn a lot from seeing what people post there, but I also take the opportunity and find that if people have questions that I'm able to answer, I certainly do take the time to try and reach out, provide some of the insight and experience that I've had and share that with other people. And I think that's the type of thing that the more of that you're able to do, share your experiences, share what you've learned, reach out and help other people in the community. That's really what an MVP is. It's those who they're lifelong learners, but they're lifelong sharers as well.
That's a very good tip for all of us actually to learn from Eric.
Yeah.
Here. So, anybody have any other question for Eric? Yeah, I was going to ask the same. Uh, so, Eric, can you also share your PPT file and all the links that you provided for all your components? We already
I
know
will
that.
I will email you the links to my presentation, uh, and I'll also, which includes links to my LinkedIn, my Twitter, my Trailblazer profile, my blog, um, all of that. So I will send that out in an email, and if you can then share that with everybody in your group, they'll all have that information. So I will
Absolutely,
send that
I'll
out.
share with them. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely. Well, that's so wonderful, and thank you. I really appreciate you being here. I know this very pretty late for you, and and I'm sure that you didn't sleep the whole night. So yeah, if you want to skip, you can take a rest yourself.
Well, the sun
And
the sun is coming up now where I am. So it was dark when I
oh,
started, and it's starting. The sun's coming up. So uh,
well, good
off to
morning
another
then.
good day. So thank you for having me,
Absolutely,
and
that's our
I hope
pleasure.
you can take advantage of some of the things I've shared.
Absolutely, that was a wonderful session, and really, and I hope that I've used many of your components, but I'm sure that many of you us are going to explore the unofficial sf.com, and we'll look for other components as well.
Oh, there's plenty more there. Yes, it can be very
So,
helpful.
all right, great. Thank you so much, Eric.
All righty.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks a lot. All right, bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. That was Eric Smith, MVP, and the second session was supposed to be by Salesforce support, but unfortunately we didn't get the slot yet, so it turns end up to me for the new Salesforce summer release features. So I'm going to present the screen. So before that, let me just quickly tell you that we were supposed to end this session by 3:30 p.m. Pakistan time, but I hope that we'll sooner end it up. And after this session, we are going to have a small quiz for everyone, and then and for the winners, we are going to have some swags available, some bottles, some notes, and whatnot. So I'll try my best to make sure that it get delivered to all those winners. But I'll that's not a promise. But I'll see what we can do in this Corona situation. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen with you to present Salesforce Summer. Actually, that was supposed to be pre-release because we were expecting our new session to be coming up before that. But now, just to update for all of you that Summer is already launched on a sandboxes yet, and it's going to be released on a production by mid of the June. So, and for some instances, it's going to be the end of June, maybe or first week of July. So yeah, you can get started with the pre-release demo orgs by yourself, and start looking for the treasures. So these are the ones highlights that I found earlier when I was looking for the treasures. But now I have also put it the link for the release notes. So release notes is out there as well, and you can go there and find what more new features are there. So let's get started. So before that, do you have any other question for me or anyone?
No, the
All right, great. So I hope you can see my screen. I'm going to start with that. So you already know me, most of them, but this is a small introduction. You can also contact me on LinkedIn, or I do have a website as mmzaz.com. You can also find some of my blogs regarding the new technologies that I do work on. So the first thing, actually I didn't get pretty much things, but let's get started with the small things, and we'll end up with bigger news that are coming in this summer release. So the first thing, as you can see on the screen, is Lightning Transit Assistant. So yes, the Salesforce is trying his best to make people move from classic to lightning, and there and you've seen in many releases that Salesforce has came up with new ideas to share. And this is how in the summer release it came up with a new idea, and actually it's not a new window for assistant for transitioning. So you can also use this. And previously we see that we're going to have a small screen on a mobile. On a classic, there's going to be a notification on the top to switch to Lightning. But when it comes to this Lightning, we have this new screen, Transition Assistant. So basically, what it does is it assists business to convert to Lightning from classics, and also you can create a path for admins to follow to help with the transition and get more customers more over to the Lightning. And you can go on the pre-release and discover, roll out, and you can do optimize as well. This is the big news regarding the transitioning. The next is a split view for standard Lightning view. Yeah, that's a very good one. But like, do you often find yourself working through multiple records in a list? Thank you, whoever did it. So with the split view, you can see a list view and a record side by side. So to move on to a new record, select it from the list view, and the new record opens with the list view in a view. So I've created a small GIF for you guys so you can see. Yeah, so here you go. You click on this list view, and here you go. You have a list view on the left hand side and a record detail on the right hand side. So you can click on any one, and you will have your details on the right hand side simultaneously. So you don't have to go back and click on the record details to see the new record. I think that's the best for while you are testing a new record. So, for example, you're using a flow or some automation that you are creating a new records, and you just need to test. Okay, each record manually going through that. I think this split view is going to help you a lot with that. So moving forward, we do have our own optimizer app. So before that, I know that many of us we might have heard about Salesforce Doctor. So that's a third-party app which we've used earlier to optimize to see how our org is optimized. But now Salesforce came up with the built-in Salesforce Optimizer app. So and also it can simply give you also it will basically work in the same way that it also provide you a PDF file delivered to your email and give you a proper information that what is optimized in your org and how you can optimize your org in any manner. So it's very simple. So you can simply go on go on a setup, and on the left hand panel you can simply search for optimizer as you can see on the screen, and it will give you depending on the size of the screen, it almost take 24 hours to give you a complete run the optimizer app and give you a PDF file to download as well, and also it will send you an email, and then you'll get also notification as soon as optimizer will run. And I do not have the sample PDF yet, but I would love to show you how the optimizer provides you a PDF file and how you can optimize it in more way. So this is the big one after we've been doing, because in Salesforce org you've been running multiple Lightning component, FX classes, and whatnot, and through that you have to make sure that your Salesforce admins and all the users who are using Salesforce are using the same experience as you and the smooth experience. So that's why we have to keep our Salesforce org optimized, and that's the big one, a tool I would say. Next, so basically this is more about the Salesforce Optimizer. So as you can see, I think I've told you almost about everything. So you can click on each item to open a split view and also whatnot, um, and more details here. I think I've covered it almost, so I'm skipping this one. So next is in-app guidance. That's what we're waiting for a lot more, because in-app guidance, let me explore you in a little bit. So you might have gotten a new product and you don't know what to do in this product. So you might have seen many of people using the guidance tools to identify, okay, what are the next step, what is this. So it's kind of a help text, but in a guidance mode. So this is how you can also use it in-app guidance in a Salesforce. It is going to be specific for an app, and you can use this guidance for all the users that you're going through. So consider this scenario. For example, you are creating a new, you're working on a project that is new for the users, but they don't know how to use Salesforce. So
Hamza,
what do you do? Yep.
excuse me. There is a issue in the screen sharing. I think
Oh, cannot.
I can get it.
Oh, that's strange. Let me reshare my screen. Thank you for letting me know. Please let me know when you can see the screen again. Is that okay now? Can you guys see my screen? Oh, still? That's strange. That should not be the case. Okay, just give me a second. Let me take back a couple of things. Is it better now? Can you see it?
Yeah, but it's still
Oh,
blurred.
strange. Should not be. Yeah, I don't know why it is blurred. Was it blurred from the start or it just blurred right now?
From start,
Oh,
I said.
I'm sorry about this. Um, I might need to refresh my page for that. So just give me a second. Let me come join back again, or let me try again. Just last time. I'm really sorry, guys. I was not expecting this. Um, how's it working now? Is it still blurred for you guys? I assume yes. So let me just quickly, jump back again from this call. All right, I'm back again. I'm going to share my screen again with you guys. I hope this is better this time. All right, is it better now? I think yes. Perfect. Thank you for confirmation. So please let me know if you want me to get started over again from all of the screen. I can do that. But if you want me to continue or miss any other one, I can do that. So let's just go back to maybe optimizer or maybe a split view. I think that's the important one that we should be discussing. So let me just repeat that again. So split view is a new feature that's coming in. It's a summer release, and in this view you can use this new tab, this new option that says split view on a list view section. And what it does, it will give you um, you can see a list of view and the record side by side. So you don't have to click on the record detail and open a new tab, or maybe go back to the same list view again to see another record. You can simply click on the record and it will show you a record by side on the right hand side. So to move on the new record, select it from the split view, and the new record opens with the list still in a view. So this is how it goes. I also create a small GIF for you. I hope this is a bit clear for you now. So as you can see on the screen, there's a small GIF that's showing you how to use this split view section. So right here, split view, and you can see on right and left hand side we have a list view of all our records, but on right hand side we have a detailed, complete detail of our detailed record. So next thing is optimizer. So um, before this optimizer app, we were using Salesforce Doctor app. That's a third-party tool which we use to determine which our app is optimized or not. How we can more optimize our org, what is messing up um, with our system. So basically, this is a very important one because Salesforce has come up with its own optimizer app now, and with this optimizer app, we can now uh, make our org more optimized. So this is so simple that on a setup you can search for optimizer, and it will give you a list of all the information that you can do, and it depends on the org size, but it takes almost 24 hours to generate a report, and it's going to be on a PDF format, and also you can download the PDF file from the optimizer screen, and also it will send an email to you, like the admin who ran the optimizer app, and it will give you all the list of sections that you can optimize on your Salesforce org. And I think that as I mentioned earlier, so this is going to be a best one because so this is actually a results page. So optimizer app can help you optimize your complete org in a way that all your Salesforce users can use it smoothly, because we are using many Apex classes, LWC and whatnot on our org. There could be many managed packages which can be messed up with our org. So that's how this optimizer app is important for all our orgs. So this is actually results section. So after running the optimizer, you will see a result screen in this way, and also you can see that what you can do and what is review required or whatnot. And I will request all of you to go to pre-release Spring or any of your sandboxes and look out all these new features by yourself. So moving forward, the next one is in-app guidance. So I was talking about this earlier. So basically, this is for all the new users who came from other legacy systems to a Salesforce who doesn't know how to operate, because we are used to use our Salesforce org. We know that how to go, how to work around, how to explore. But for new customers, they don't know how what is Salesforce and how to use that. And even or not, if you have created a new custom app for your users, you have to you have what we do right now is we set up a training call and we explain them how to use a specific org. But in this tool, using this tool in-app guidance, you can simply create a walkthrough for your customers, and they can simply go through that. So the uses of this prompt and the walkthrough to help assist users with the app within the app. So it is good for general training and onboarding new users, as I mentioned. So become more of a contender against WalkMe solution. Uh, Before that, we were using a lot more solutions. So this is about that. And admins can create simple prompt for either floating or docked ones of the page of choices of our users for read and then dismiss. So that's the one that we use. That is definitely on the right hand side. We see that there are going to be a simple notification and prompt discussion. I'll discuss it with you after this. So you'll see what I was talking about. But unfortunately, there is a license for this, so you have to. There's a 3 days trial, but it's come under the license. So in-app guidance, you can simply create in-app guidance through a simple page builder. So I have, as shown in the demo in screen, you can go to your app builder, page builder section similar to that, and create in-app guidance for yourself for all your users. There you go. This is what I'm talking about. This is a prompt. So you can see on the bottom right, there's a small prompt that we wondering what how it's coming from, and how Salesforce, maybe it was only a Salesforce authority that they can generate for our, but not now. Through this in-app guidance, we can also create these kind of prompts ourselves. So it's also simple. If you can also check for if there's any other prompt already exists or not. You can also create a docked or floating prompt yourself, and you can also add some actions as well. So if there's something that you want action to taken by your customers, you can create an action against as well. And it's simple to use as well. So next is Salesforce Surveys. So as you know, the Salesforce is pretty much busy with this Surveys app, and trying to get rid of like other apps like Survey Monkeys and additional things. So this is the one thing that we all should be working on. So this is a Salesforce Service app, and they have in this summer release they have enhanced it a little bit more. And in this says that you can also do a post chat customer feedback. So this is what we already see usually when we use our live agent chat, that we can create a post feedback section or we have page for them. But now it's also available for Salesforce Surveys, and it will give you a complete detailed report. You can also generate a report on our backend for the how survey goes for them. Moreover, next is Einstein cold calling. I remember I saw this a year back when I was in San Francisco on Trailhead EX. And I was very amazed with it. So if you can see the screen, I'll try my best to explain it to you how it works. So basically, you know about this Einstein Salesforce AI, and through this is a new tool that they have launched in a summer 20. That's Einstein Cold Coaching. It's basically what it does is that Einstein monitors your calls. I mean, the agent's calls. So basically, it's for service industry. So, for example, if I am a service agent and I've been in a call with customers, so Salesforce in a backend is basically monitoring our calls and recording in a which way if we can provide you the guidance for myself as well for the other agents. So as you can see on the screen, there's a 1, 2, 3 sections. It basically is just telling you that what you should have said and what you have said in that way in a nice manners. So this is how you can train your train your agents, and this is the coaching app built in with the Einstein. So and I know this also depends on Einstein licenses, but do you think that this is amazing? So you can also play recordings of the conversations, even though you can manage it also. And this tool is to basically help train and with the next step with the customers, and obviously manager can get the reports and dashboards on the inside of it. Sorry. Um, I know this could be very game changing for all of our service industry because this can help all the managers and the trainers to coach them themselves instead of there's going to be a manager coaching each of the agent manually. So next one is the Sales Cloud Einstein features. So there are a lot of features regarding the Einstein here. So the one thing that you can see is the opportunity score. Let me quickly see what we have. A useful thing. Yeah, absolutely is one. So in this opportunity score, so basically, if you don't have any idea about Einstein, so Einstein basically works on a score basis. So it gives you the next step on the basis of the score. It generates everything. It's a whole word for the Einstein is based on score. So for Sales Cloud, Einstein has this new feature that's called opportunity score. It can give you the better prediction that what could be in the future, and what could be the pipeline of your for sales for Sales Cloud. So many of you who knows about Sales Cloud should definitely can relevant with this information that how opportunity score could be a more informative with the Sales Cloud, especially for the sales process. So it can you can also enable for orders without price books and big deals alerts also you can generate, and also you can also and there's one more thing regarding I remember that so customizable forecasting is retired by the way. So that's the one thing. So that's an alternative for that. So moving forward, the next is the confetti. We all love this confetti tab on our custom tabs and especially in the Salesforce path. But now confetti is viewable in a Kanban views as well. So you can celebrate a milestone on a path with a confetti and not just with opportunity in close one or that. You can also do that with others as well. It can also help to build more morale and you won't work with the leads and convert through yet, but maybe in a couple of releases it will work on the lead as well. So it's still stuck with opportunities. The next one is with the Salesforce CPQ. CPQ is another product of Salesforce, and through this is a major change because I had to mention this because that's a major change. So basically, Salesforce is transitioning to permission set licenses. So whoever is using it, so is not now. There's going to not going to be a managed package licenses. They're going to be a permission sets licenses, and you have to assign it before Winter 21. Otherwise, you will miss the functionality of the Salesforce CPQ on your org if you are using it. So you can see that Salesforce is migrating from um, managed package licenses to a permission set. And as you can see in the previous release, we saw that Salesforce initiated permission set group licenses as well. So you can create a group of permission set, and you can assign to a specific users, instead of manually assigning each and every permission set manually. So this is how Salesforce is visioning the future for our future Salesforce manageability. The next is run flows that bypasses user permission. That's a big one. I'll say that that's a huge, because as of Salesforce latest release, we had an added ability to choose a run, a flow, and a system context, but that feature still enforces record level access. But in the summer 20, you'll have the ability to run a system context, ignore record level access to allow a flow to update records that running users might not have access to. So that's how important it is. In the previous release, we see that the flow can run, before, but in this release, summer 20, can also you can run after a record has been saved. So there are a lot more changes on the flow. There are more enhancement, actually, I would say. So I would recommend everyone to start using flows instead of you using your, hitting your head on a wall by, doing some custom coding and everything. Um, so there are much more, and I've also shared a link with you for the summer release. So there's a lot more that you can do with the summer 20. It See, these are the only things that I've find myself that are new in a Salesforce org, but there are a lot more that you can do, and go to its release notes, read for the release notes, and learn new things. So thank you so much. Do you have any questions um, for me? So go ahead, and then we'll start working on our flow. Actually, our quiz after this. So I'll wait for 2 to 3 minutes. Meanwhile, I will launch our test quiz flow screen. So shoot if you have any like new questions.
So Hamza,
Mhm.
there are currently we have we have couple of security updates related to the guest profile users in community. If it's possible,
Yes,
can you put some lights on that?
absolutely. So that's the one I should have talked about, because that's the one more concerning. So let me just clear the heat here. So basically, in Salesforce Summer Spring 20, they really Salesforce released the Salesforce security in the way that you're not allowed guest users are not allowed to create any records in Salesforce, and also they cannot be a record owner by themselves. There should be some Salesforce backend user should be the record owner, and that's actually crushed many things on our working apps. So after this spring, actually that happened in winter 20, but after spring 20, Salesforce provided us an opt-out button that you can go to the sharing settings and click on the opt-out, and you can opt out with that functionality, but not until summer 20. So in summer 20, according to Salesforce, they're going to force enable that security, but there's not much to worry about, because what feature that we are providing our guest users most commonly is that they allow them to create new cases or new leads that they can do. But if you have wrote a custom functionality right now that, like example, the guest user can create a new account or new contact or any other object other than cases or lead, then there's a problem. So what you need to do, so what solution right now is the only is to write an Apex class, or maybe use this flow in a system context mode. Like if you're writing an Apex class, write it in a without sharing mode, so that guests can create those records. So this is the only solution that I found till yet. And I was and now I'll try my best to share the link with you. There's a Trailblazer community URL on which many Salesforce people are communicating there and also suggesting their solution. And also post it here, or maybe post it on our Trailblazer group page. You can go through that and see what are the other solutions right now. But the most updated answer I do have right now is to use the system